Hello, welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video, we're going to start looking at Magic Origins, which was, it was basically the core set for 2016 when it came out. What makes this different to other core sets, though, it has quite a large like story element to it, like quite a lot of lore attached to it, whereas core sets are usually quite generic in terms of their lore, to kind of be more accessible to newer players. So maybe that's why it wasn't dubbed as a core set. But anyway, let's take a look at the first deck, which is Brave the Battle, which is a white and green deck. We've got 22 creatures, 6 instants, 5 enchantments, 2 sorceries, 25 land. We've got mana curve off to the side there, so let's start looking at the deck. So the foil face rare is Hixus Prison Warden, and this is a cool thing that all these intro decks do for Magic Origins. So I sort of just talked about it there, but Magic Origins had a big kind of storytelling like lore aspect to it. The reason why it's called Magic Origins is because it's kind of the background stories, the origin stories for like essentially like the 5 most like flagship planeswalkers at the time. So like Gideon, Jace, Chandra, Liliana, and Nissa, because like Garruk had been fading out. Actually, Garruk had a bit of kind of story focus in the last core set where he was like hunting other planeswalkers, and like Chandra's had like a tiny bit of focus in previous core sets. I think M14 was kind of meant to have a bit of a Chandra focus, and like Nicole Balas was kind of in M13. So it has, in recent core sets, there has definitely been this kind of thing of like, oh, let's kind of put a little bit of focus on a particular planeswalker as like a story element. But here it's like it's all about them. And I wonder why that was probably why it's called Magic Origins rather than the more traditional. Like if it was just called M16 or something, or Core 16, maybe to help make it stand out. Because yeah, this set did it sort of pioneered something which we've not, I think, seen since, which is the double-sided planeswalkers, where they start off as creatures, which is like before they awaken to their spark, and then when you met a requirement, they flipped over and they became planeswalker, which was lovely fun for the rules, I imagine. But yeah, that was kind of the big gimmick of this set. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the flipwalkers in these intro packs because they're mythic rare, as you might expect. But what we have in each of the intro packs as their foil face rare is like kind of a character who was like really important to that planeswalker, like their background and stuff, and like their kind of reason for developing into the character they become. So Hixus Prison Warden is kind of like the background character. He's kind of like the Uncle Ben for Gideon, because Gideon comes from Theros. He wasn't really called Gideon, and he was kind of like a vigilante. And then I guess he was taken in by Hixus, and Hixus kind of teaches him, his particular type of magic, and and then his spark awakens and he becomes Gideon Jura, who we all know, and he's getting a lot of focus in the next few sets, like in terms of the story. Anyway, let's talk about the actual cards and not the lore. We're not a lore channel. So Hixus Prison Warden is 3 double white for a 4/4 with flash, which is just good stats. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, if Hixus Prison Warden enter the battlefield this turn, you exile that creature until Hixus leaves the battlefield. So potentially hold on to Hixus. You take damage for a bunch of creatures, then you cast him at the end of combat, and then all the stuff that dealt damage to you gets exiled, which is pretty fun. It's essentially like it could be a bit of a one-sided board wipe. Obviously, like the condition is you have to take that damage first, and it's not really, I guess, like it doesn't synergize really too well what the rest of the deck does because we'll see as we go through. But like Hixus, I think on his own is a good creature, but like I don't think he really synergizes too well what the rest of the deck does, as we'll see. So the other rare of the deck is Outland Colossus, so 3 and double green for 6/6 with Renown 6. So Renown is a mechanic that was introduced here in Magic Origins. We've not had it since, I don't think, which is a shame because I think it's like a pretty cool mechanic in terms of just like storytelling. It is just like another kind of like +1/+1 counters when you meet a certain condition. It actually reminds me a lot of Monstrosity from Theros, which is maybe why I like it so much because I really like Monstrosity, and it has a lot of the same kind of like kind of rules templating and sort of designs based around it. So renown is when the creature deals combat damage to a player. If it isn't renowned, it gets however many counters its renown number is, and then it counts as being renowned. And some things care about being renowned. You got a few spells in this deck that like care about certain creatures if they're renowned or when they become renowned. So it's kind of like Monstrosity. You meet a condition, you get a certain number of counters. You then gain this kind of extra status, which might count for like some spells and stuff. But the whole point is you can't like do it again. Like you've already become renowned. You can't become renowned twice. And Outlaws and Colossus, he can't be blocked except by more than one creature. Yeah, can't block by more than one creature, so he can only be blocked by a single thing. So this is okay. Obviously, just for 5 mana, it's just a 6/6 on its own, which is like fine. He gets through and becomes a 12/12 though, which is obviously kind of bonkers. I can't remember off the top of my head if there's any way of giving him trample in the deck. If there is, then obviously this is fantastic. But yeah, and obviously he can't be multi-blocked by things. So yeah, this is a pretty good secondary rare, I think. So we've got 2 Citadel Castellan. So I think this is properly when we start getting like the 2-color signpost like draft archetypes in sets like going forward. So Citadel Castellan, so 1 green and white for a 2/3 with Vigilance and Renown too. And like this was, we take it for granted now in sets these days, but this is kind of, I think Magic Origins is when it started becoming like a thing like properly. That if you're playing draft or sealed and you open this was like a really like Citadel Castellan would be a really solid formation to sort of go into green white because it cares about renown, it cares about +1/+1 counters, that kind of thing. So Citadel Castellan, 1 green and white for a 2/3, has Vigilance, like so 3 mana for a 2/3 with Vigilance is okay anyway. It has Renown too, so if it gets through, does combat damage, it becomes a 4/5 with Vigilance, which is obviously pretty good. So yeah, I like Citadel Castellan. The thing is now, like, kind of like a lot of these things with like Monstrosity or these other kind of similar effects, they all have renown just of different values and a different kind of base sizes with a certain combination of keywords, so we can kind of zip through the rest of these, I think. So 2 Knight of Pilgrim's Road, 2 and a white for a 3/2 with renowned 1, 2 Stalwart Avon, 2 and a white for a 1/3 with flying, it has renown 1, and 2 Topan Freeblade. I always thought like the art in this is weird. It's like it's really excessive like bloom, you know. It's like someone turned up like the contrast settings on it really high, you know. So Topan Freeblade, 1 and a white for a 2/2 with Vigilance. So I mean that stands out to me a lot anyway because it's just a 2/2 for 2 with an upside, and Renown for 1, so it becomes a 3/3 Vigilance for only 2 mana, which is pretty good, I think. Is that kind of actually better than the Castellan just because it's easier and cheaper to cast and it's I don't know. And then 2 Valoran Wardens, 2 and a green for 1/3 with Renown 2. This is one of the few cards in the deck that actually cares about things, cares about the renowned status. Whenever a creature you control becomes renowned, you draw a card. And you do have, like, as we've seen, like quite a lot of creatures with renown. So yeah, you could potentially, get like, I think you get a couple draws off this throughout the game. That's pretty good. We've got a single Patron of the Valiant, 3 and double white for a 4/4 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that has a +1/+1 counter on it. That's pretty good, I think. I mean, again, just off the it's just it's 5 mana for a 4/4 fly, so it's like air elemental anyway. And then if it's also going to distribute a bunch of +1/+1 counters, then that's pretty good, I think. Then we've got 2 Sentinel of the Eternal Watch, 5 and a white for a 4/6. Has Vigilance. At the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, you tap target creature that player controls. So this is really nice, actually, that it just happens automatically. You don't have to put mana into it. You don't have to like do an activate ability. It's just going to happen anyway. You're just going to take out one creature from attacking for a turn, and then obviously it's going to be tapped on your turn when it comes around. So yeah, this is pretty good. I like this, and obviously it's just a big old blocker anyway, and a bigger good reliable attacker anyway. Single heavy inventory, 4 and a white for a 3/4. When it ends the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. Yep, this is fine. It's just a kind of a one-use kind of thing, isn't it? But it's fine, I guess, for a common. 2 Anointer of Champions, 1 white mana for a 1/1. Tap to give target attacking creature +1/+1 turn. This is okay as well, I think. Like, this is actually a pretty good ability, I think, to have on a 1-drop. It doesn't cost any mana either. So I think this could actually tip the scales, actually. I think you would get quite a lot of mileage out of this, because how many times does just +1/+1 really like just tip a combat, And then we've got 3 Cleric of the Forward Order, so 1 white for a 2/2. So Origins has like this cycle in them of like these common like collect them all creatures, I guess, or Kindle creatures if you want to call them that. If reference back to Kindle, back from Tempest. I think all the decks have them, but as we'll see, I don't remember off the top of my head. But when Cleric of the Forward Order enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life for every creature you control named Cleric of the Forward Order. So if you only have one out, where you cut, it's going to gain you 2 life when it comes in, but you have another one, you're going to get extra life. So yeah, this is pretty good. I think it's like a fun little cycle of common creatures. And then a single Vastwood Gorge is just 5 and a green for just 5/6 fatty. Sure, it's fine. Then non-creature spells. So we've got a single Valor in Akros, 3 and a white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, creature you control get +1/+1 to turn. So this is really nice to have this effect just hang around all the time. You know, if you're casting, say, a creature every turn, just constantly getting +1/+1 across your whole board, I think is pretty fun. Yeah, and you know, you get because you've got a few cheap creatures in here. So it's again just the fact that this just sits there and it's just, you know, it's just reliably triggering. Like you don't have to put any more extra mana into it other than, you know, by doing what you're going to be doing anyway, which is casting creatures. So yeah, it's fine. 2 Grasp of the Hieromancer, so 1 white. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature is +1/+1. Has whenever this creature attacks, tapped out creature defending player controls. So there's actually quite a few effects that tap down creatures in this deck. So we've got 2 Grasp of the Hieromancers. We've had the heavy infantry. We've had the what was it, the Sentinel of the Eternal Watch. So we've had that. So there's actually quite a few effects here for tapping down opponent's creatures, which is good because then you get blockers out of the way, so your stuff can get through, deal damage to your opponent, and then if they've got Renown, then their Renown triggers go off. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. 2 Knightly Valors, so 4 and a white. Aura goes on a creature. A lot of auras actually as well. Well, a lot, like 4. You make a 2/2 white knight creature, and the enchanted creature gets +2/+2, has vigilance. So yeah, this is, I think, a perfectly good effect. For 5, we've got 2 Enshrouding Mists, so 1 white mana. Target creature gets +1/+1 to turn. If it's renowned, oh yeah, prevent all damage that would be dealt to it, and if it's renowned, you untap it. So this is okay. Like just for one white mana, even if you don't get like that renown trigger, I think it's okay. Just to get +1/+1 and prevent all damage to something for a turn is obviously pretty solid. It is all damage. It's not like all damage, like all combat damage. It is just all flat damage, which I always think this ability like should be like really going forward. And I think it is. And yeah, you get the surprise untap if it's renowned as well. So it could be a potentially like really nice little combat trick. I think it's the only card in the deck that cares about being renowned, though, or like the only non-creature card, which is a bit of a shame. Would have been nice to have more cards that cared about that. 2 Mighty Leap, 1 and a white, to give target creature +2/+2 and flying turn. Yep, this is a perfectly good little buff spell. I've seen it loads of times. Single Titanic Growth, 1 in the green to give something +4/+4 turn. Another like perfectly good buff that we've seen loads of times. A single Vine Snare, 2 in a green, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn by creatures with power 4 or less. Which is okay. It's kind of like a, it's a conditional kind of fog, isn't it? I suppose. I normally just prefer like just straight up fog effects because it's like cheaper and it's just everything. You don't have to worry about it. This, I suppose, because you got your renowned creatures who could get to higher than power 4, so you still get them doing damage. So yeah, I guess this is okay. I say it's a little too fiddly for my taste. I normally just prefer just straight up just fog effect. Just prevent everything by everyone, you know. And then 2 Wild Instincts, 3 in a green. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 turn. It fights target creature an opponent controls. So this is okay as well for like 4 mana. Because we've had what? Hunt the Weak before, which is exactly this, I think, except it does a +1/+1 counter, and it does a fight, whereas this is +2/+2, although temporary, and that does a fight. Of the two, I would actually probably say the Hunt the Weak is probably the better, just because like the +1/+1 counter is permanent. But you know, you're gonna have situations where +2/+2 is better than just the single counter. So yeah, this is fine, and also it's like a little bit of removal in the deck as well, isn't it? And then a single Evolving Wilds, and then 14 Plains and 10 Forests. Yeah. So let's talk about what could have been. So overall, I think it's pretty much using all the Renown cards, because Renown showed up in white and green mostly. There were some in red as well. So basically the 3 kind of like traditional like heroic colours. You know, if we're going to look back at Theros, and where all the, you know, I say the majority of heroic cards were red, green, and white. A few kind of stood out to me as like it was weird that they were missing. Consul's Lieutenant. So double white for a 2/1 with first strike, which is like fairly good stats anyway, and then has renown, and when it attacks, if it's renowned, your other attacking creatures get +1/+1 turn, which is, you know, another pretty good like board wide buff. Rock Maulers, I think, definitely should have been here instead of like the Vastwood Gorger. Like, it's really weird they weren't. Just because there's another card that cares about Renown, and they got Trample, which is really nice way of ensuring that they their Renown ability might trigger, because obviously the damage tramples over, and then their Renown goes off, they get bigger, and then they still got Trample, which is perfect. And I thought it was an alternate rare, Kythion's Irregulars. So 2 and double white for a 4/3, has Renown 1, and it has 2 white mana to tap target creature. So this is like fairly solid, I think. It goes up to 5/4. It has like this repeatable effect where you can only spend 2 white to tap stuff down. So you say sort of plays into the sub theme of the deck where you've got a few tap down effects. This I think would have been like a fun alternate rare. As I say, Hixus I think is okay. But I think I would much prefer Hixus if Hixus had this text box like Renown and the tap target creature. I think that would have made him a lot stronger as a creature. But yeah, this or the Outland Giant I think were fine as secondary rares. So overall, yeah, I think this is like a fairly good start to look at Magic Origins. I mean, it is. This is going to become apparent as well when we get into the Battle for Zendikar block, but it is also green white and +1/+1 counters again, and like that's not going to change for a while, which is like a little bit annoying. So it is starting to feel a little bit repetitive to keep getting just like green white +1/+1 counters, because we've had that now for quite a while. But yeah, this is, I think it's absolutely fine. I like Renown as a mechanic, so yeah, I think it's fairly solid, fairly well put together. So yeah, I think it's all right, but it's not super exciting. It doesn't excite me too much, I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this deck? Do you have any thoughts or comments or stories, opinions about the deck or any of the cards in it? Stick a comment below, or give that a read. But I'll be back next time, go look at another Magic Origins intro pack. So until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.